should be streaming now. Let's see if it actually comes up in... Well, it looks like we're connected. Can anyone see me though? Okay, that's open. That's good. Go to... Okay, sorry, I don't know if this is recording just yet. I'm just finishing setting up the stream. Just give me a moment if you can see this. Okay, I'm gonna wait for people to come in. I don't know if this is live just yet. This is the first time that I've done a live stream in a while, so this is kind of just a test stream. We are going to look into the House of Parliament. House of Commons is returning today. The newly elected Prime Minister Mark Carney. So we're going to be live streaming that. King Charles is also visiting Canada today. He's giving a speech right now. So we can move over to that and listen in. I just want to make sure that we're actually streaming right now. If anybody is watching, oh, we've got people in the chat. Okay, so we're live. Just make sure, if you can't hear me or if there's any volume problems, just let me know in the chat. I'm going to be jumping back and forth between windows. This isn't the most organized stream. It's just kind of a test stream just to get back into live streaming here. But let's check in on... King Charles is giving a speech at the Senate, and this will be before the House of Commons. This is the second day of the House of Commons being back after Mark Carney was elected. Yesterday, they didn't do anything really other than just choose a new Speaker of the House. It's a Liberal backbencher. Some mixed reactions to that yesterday, but that was the only big event so far. So I'm assuming there will be more actual debate in the House of Commons after this speech is over. So let's just check in on this. And again, if there's any audio issues or anything, just let me know, because this is, I'm just kind of testing some things out right now.
5% of Canada's population by 2027. By doing this, the government will attract the best talent in the world to build our economy, while sending a clear message to Canadians working abroad that they...
Okay, I had that pause. I don't know if that's just because he's just wrapped up this speech. Let me just reset that. And again, I'll check in on the live stream and just make sure that people can hear the audio. People are saying Kip. Yeah, again, just let me know if you can't hear or anything. Either me or the videos that I, once we get the video resumed here. Try this again.
Agree that statement, that affirmation of Canadian identity and unity was very clear. Yes, there are external threats, but the focus was far more on what we can do to take responsibility and what we can do for ourselves. There was nothing particularly surprising. It was the same things that we heard during the campaign and in the mandate letter. So it was very much about how Canadians can take responsibility and prosper.
But I quickly want to go to Andrew Thompson, because Andrew, we were starting conversation a bit earlier on, right before the Sovereign left the upper chamber, and let's have a quick conversation because once he's in your hallway, I know you'll have to stop speaking. But talk to us about how the rest of this afternoon unfolds.
Yeah, in fact, lots of MPs here waiting for their chance to shake hands with the King and the Queen. After that happens, MPs, as you say, are going to head back up Wellington Street to the House chamber, and now they're going to get a chance to debate the content of what they heard in that speech from the throne. They've now heard the reason for the House of Commons being summoned to sit by the Crown, and just a bit of procedural information on what our viewers can expect to see once the House resumes sitting. A backbench member of the Liberal caucus will move a motion to formally thank the King for delivering the speech from the throne. There will be some debate today on that motion before the House adjourns for the day. And then the next day of debate on that speech, which could be tomorrow, that's called the Leaders' Day. That's where we hear from the party leaders, starting with the leader of the official opposition and then the Prime Minister. So there are several days of debate set aside for the speech from the throne. They don't necessarily have to be consecutive. There is, though, some other House business for the new House Speaker, Francis Scarpaleggia, to deal with today. He will have to oversee some routine procedural matters, including Prime Minister Mark Carney introducing his first bill. This is a traditional pro forma piece of legislation. It's called Bill C1. It's never really debated or voted on, but it essentially affirms the independence of the House of Commons to debate and vote on matters of its own choosing, not simply to rely on what's in the speech from the throne. This is a traditional symbol of the independence of the House of Commons, so you're going to see that. Also, watch for an order of supply from the government. That will allow for opposition days, which we see sprinkled throughout each parliamentary session. This is where the Conservatives and the Bloc Québécois will be able to put forward their own motions for debates and votes. Also, some other procedural questions to watch for in the House, Michael. The naming of a deputy speaker and assistant deputy speakers following yesterday's election of Francis Scarpaleggia as speaker. We're also waiting for appointments to the Board of Internal Economy. This is essentially the governing committee of the House.
So they're saying they're going to be electing a deputy speaker today. Again, that's just following up on yesterday. Basically, the main thing they did was elect the new House Speaker, Francis Scarpaleggia. He's a Liberal backbencher, an MP. People really didn't like the last Speaker of the House under Justin Trudeau either, but it's hard to say whether this is going to be an improvement or much of an improvement, if any. Just going to check in on the live chat again and just make sure that audio is good. It is recording. Okay, everybody can hear both me and the video. Great. All right, we'll go back here. So they're just preparing to, I guess, start the proceedings for the House of Commons. Again, this is the first week back after the election. Mark Carney was elected with what I believe is still a minority Liberal government. There were a few ridings that races were flipping back and forth, even weeks after the election, some really close races, and that could have made the difference between it either being a minority or majority Liberal government. So we're still in a minority right now. Conservatives obviously being the main opposition, and Jagmeet Singh is gone. And the NDP is essentially collapsed. I think they're down to 7 seats now in Parliament. So it's basically the Liberals and the Conservatives holding the vast majority of the seats. Right now, Andrew Scheer is the interim leader for the Conservatives. And I might play some clips either this stream or in a follow-up stream just from the first day back yesterday. I know I personally don't think that they hit the right tone on the first day back. I mean, people are not very happy with the outcome of this election. There's obviously a lot of division in Canada, and it seemed like it was just kind of like all inside jokes that Andrew Scheer was focused on, and the tone was way too light, I think, from the Conservative side for how serious the whole situation is out of the election, and especially the Conservatives being essentially the only people in opposition. I mean, not that the NDP was doing a great job anyway, but if, again, this is the opposition and Andrew Scheer was just kind of all smiles, making jokes, and didn't really go after Carney or the Liberals in any serious way in the first in the first day back yesterday. Now, again, he is interim leader, so that might just be because of that reason, because they haven't fully gotten into debate or putting up any bills, or once Polyev comes back and they have an actual, the leader that they'll have going forward, then things might start heating up. But yesterday was a little bit underwhelming, at least in my opinion. So it looks like they're getting seated in the House of Commons. I guess we'll just check back in here. Let's check in with the live chat again, just quickly. Yeah, one of my commenters is saying that Pierre is poor on immigration. That would be my biggest criticism, and I think that, well, I mean, obviously he didn't win the election, so I think he was trying to play it safe, maybe thinking that that was a controversial issue that he didn't want to talk about or take a strong stance on, and I think it backfired. I think that things have gone so far in the last few years with the international students, the mass immigration, that even most of the immigrants, I mean, even immigrants that have come more than a few years ago, are saying that there's just been too much. I don't think that that would have been a losing. It's not a controversial issue. I mean, even the Liberals, even Carney were saying it, and at times it actually sounded like the Liberals were further to the right than the Conservatives on immigration. So the whole axe the tax, sloganeering, focusing on the carbon tax all election. Before that, just focusing on not being Justin Trudeau. And then when they finally got rid of Justin Trudeau, that flipped the Conservatives' whole campaign on its head, basically. I just, clearly, they didn't win. So I really think they should have gone harder after immigration. I agree with that as well. We'll check back in with the live stream here. Again, looks like they're just setting up, but let's just check in for a moment. Now, we just started the stream as King Charles was wrapping up his speech, but even he mentioned the Liberals' plan, and it's definitely not enough. It just kind of sounds like they're just saying this just to sound like they can address the issue, but they are saying that they're going to cut the maximum number of temporary foreign workers down to 5% of the population from the current 7%. But again, that's just a fraction of the total immigration that's come into Canada. And just cutting the numbers by 20% or 30% at this point isn't enough. I mean, we need a reversal. I mean, people actually need to go back to undo all the immigration that's happened in the last 5 years. The problems that it's had on housing and the economy. Again, even the Liberals are recognizing this, though, so it's interesting. That was basically one of the last things that King Charles brought up in his speech today, and again, just highlights how it really seems like it was a mistake for Pierre Poilievre not to focus on this during the campaign, when even the Liberals are admitting that it's a problem, and a problem that has happened under their watch.
I had to buy a couple suits. The jeans and the dress shirts, or the flowered shirts, are still working. The jeans and the Hawaiian dress shirts had to go. They're still there. And you put away the shorts. Yeah. Sierra.
While we're waiting for this to set up, we could try to pull up the comments that Charles made earlier. Specifically the end where he's talking about cutting the amount of international students.
Yeah, well, it should be right.
This one. Try to pull this up.
Dude, pretty much.
Okay, we're gonna just move over to the speech that King Charles just finished as we wait for them to enter the House of Commons. We'll just play, we'll jump midway through the speech, specifically looking again for the comments on immigration. Start here.
Qui partage ses valeurs, qui croit en la coopération internationale et le libre-échange de biens, de services et d'idées. Dans ce monde nouveau qui évolue à un rythme frénétique, le Canada tracera la voie à suivre. La démonstration en sera faite dès juin, quand le Canada présidera le sommet du G7. The government is guided by its conviction that the economy is only truly strong when it serves everyone. Many Canadians are struggling to get ahead. The government is responding, reducing middle-class taxes and saving two-income families up to $840 a year. It will cut the GST on homes at or under $1 million for first-time home buyers, delivering savings of up to $50,000. And it will lower the GST on homes between $1 million and $1.5 million. Le gouvernement assurera la pérennité de programmes qui permettent déjà aux familles d'économiser des milliers de dollars par année, notamment ceux pour les garderies et l'assurance médicaments. À ces progrès s'ajoute l'élargissement du régime canadien de soins dentaires, qui sera bientôt accessible à environ 8 millions de Canadiens et de Canadiennes, leur permettant d'économiser plus de 800 dollars par année en moyenne. The government's overarching goal, its core mission, is to build the strongest economy in the G7. That starts with creating one Canadian economy out of 13. Internal barriers to trade and labour mobility cost Canada as much as $200 billion each year. The government will introduce legislation to remove all remaining federal barriers to internal trade and labour mobility by Canada Day. Les premiers ministres de plusieurs provinces et territoires ont déjà pris des mesures pour éliminer les obstacles au commerce intérieur. Le gouvernement va s'appuyer sur ces progrès pour créer, d'ici la fête du Canada, un réel système de libre-échange à travers le pays. Il s'agit d'efforts essentiels pour permettre au Canada de réaliser tout son potentiel économique, mais cela reste insuffisant. To build Canada strong, the government is working closely with provinces, territories, and Indigenous peoples to identify and catalyse projects of national significance. Projects that will connect Canada, that will deepen Canada's ties with the world, and that will create high-paying jobs for generations. Given the pace of change and the scale of opportunities, speed is of the essence. Through the creation of a new major federal project office, the time needed to approve a project will be reduced from 5 years to 2, all while upholding Canada's world-leading environmental standards and its constitutional obligations to Indigenous peoples. The government will also strike cooperation agreements with every interested province and territory within 6 months to realise its goal of one project, one review. When Canadians come together, Canada builds things that last. Éliminer ces obstacles qui freinent l'économie canadienne permettra l'avènement d'une nouvelle ère de croissance grâce à laquelle le Canada va non seulement surmonter des guerres commerciales, mais en émerger plus fort que jamais. Cela lui permettra de devenir une superpuissance en matière d'énergie verte et conventionnelle, de bâtir une stratégie industrielle qui rendra le Canada plus compétitif à l'international, tout en luttant contre les changements climatiques, de bâtir des centaines de milliers de bonnes carrières dans les métiers spécialisés, et donc de faire du Canada une plaque tournante pour la science et l'innovation. Critically, the government will undertake a series of measures to help double the rate of home building while creating an entirely new housing industry, using Canadian technology, Canadian skilled workers, and Canadian lumber. The government will introduce measures to deliver affordable homes by creating Build Canada homes. This mission-driven organisation will act to accelerate the development of new affordable housing. It will invest in the growth of the prefabricated and modular housing industry, and it will provide significant financing to affordable home builders. The government will make the housing market work better, including by cutting municipal development charges in half for all multi-unit housing. The government will drive supply up to bring housing costs down.
I think this is just before the part where he mentions cutting the number of international students. I actually want to check over to just a different stream of the same speech. Just give me one moment to set this up. Thank you. Meanwhile, we're still waiting for them to start today's proceedings in the House of Commons. Just going back to the speech that King Charles just gave in the Senate. While they're setting that up, check in quickly again with the comments. Yeah, people are not really enjoying King Charles' speech, I understand. I just want to look at just the end where he talks about the international students, if we can find that bit. Let me try to open this one up. Still waiting for people to trickle into the House of Commons here too. Right, let's Here it is.
Democracy were under threat. Canada was emerging as a growing economic power and force for peace in the world. In the decades since, history has been punctuated by epoch-making events. The Vietnam War, the fall of the Berlin Wall, and the start of the War on Terror. Today, Canada faces another critical moment. Democracy, pluralism, the rule of law, self-determination, and freedom are values which Canadians hold dear, and ones which the government is determined to protect. The system of open global trade that, while not perfect, has helped to deliver prosperity for Canadians for decades, is changing. Canada's relationships with partners are also changing.
We must be clear-eyed. The world is more dangerous and uncertain place than at any point since the Second World War. Canada is facing challenges that are unprecedented in our lifetimes.
Many Canadians are feeling anxious and worried about the drastically changing world around them. Fundamental change is always unsettling. Yet this moment is also an incredible opportunity. An opportunity for renewal, an opportunity to think big and to act bigger, an opportunity for Canada to embark on the largest transformation of its economy since the Second World War. A confident Canada, which has welcomed new Canadians, including from some of the most tragic global conflict zones, can seize this opportunity by recognizing that all Canadians can give themselves far more than any foreign power on any continent can ever take away. And that by staying true to Canadian values, Canada can build new alliances and a new economy that serves all Canadians. The Prime Minister and the President of the United States, for example, have begun defining a new economic and security relationship between Canada and the United States, rooted in mutual respect and founded on common interests, to deliver transformational benefits for both sovereign nations. Simultanément,
in parallel, the government is working to strengthen its relationships with reliable trading partners and allies around the world, recognizing that Canada has what the world needs: and the values the world respects.
Do they?
Canada is ready to build a coalition of like-minded countries that share its values, that believe in international cooperation and the free and open exchange of goods, services, and ideas. In this new, fast-evolving world, Canada is ready to lead. This will be demonstrated in June when Canada convenes the G7 summit.
The government is guided by its conviction that the economy is only truly strong when it serves everyone. Many Canadians are struggling to get ahead. The government is responding, reducing middle-class taxes and saving two-income families up to $840 a year. It will cut the GST on homes at or under $1 million for first-time home buyers, delivering savings of up to $50,000.
Let me skip ahead a little bit more and see if I can find the specific quote that I was looking for earlier. It's interesting, a big part of this speech seems to be about the United States and President Trump, although it seems like King Charles is avoiding mentioning President Trump by name. I'm guessing that's being done intentionally, but I've definitely noticed I've noticed that in this speech. Let's skip ahead and look for that quote that I was
defenders charged with committing these crimes, along with human trafficking and drug smuggling. During this time of great change, Canadians are uniting behind what makes Canada unique. La langue française et la culture.
This video is frozen.
The French language and the Quebec culture are at the heart of the Canadian identity.
Just check in again on the House of Commons. I'm just going to go back and forth between these videos for a second. I'll check in on your comments too for a second. Yeah, I understand, guys. Just want to see if the House of Commons has started yet. Okay, we're still waiting on them.
They define the country that Canadians...
Let me skip ahead a little bit more here.
Canada's immigration system has long been a source of pride for Canadians.
Back up a little bit. Here he's talking about immigration. And again, I know I brought it up earlier, but just the fact that this had to be mentioned, and this is basically how he's closing this whole
from $5 billion
the Liberals mentioned earlier, it really highlights how this is something that the Conservatives, this is not a controversial issue. This is something that they're only addressing because they have to. This is something the Conservatives should have been talking about for over a year before Justin Trudeau resigned, so they didn't have to pivot once he stepped down. If they had just been going after immigration, taking a strong stance on that from the beginning, that really would have
to $10 billion,
anyway,
enabling more Indigenous communities to become owners of major projects. As Canada moves forward with nation-building projects, the government will always be firmly guided by the principle of free, prior, and informed consent. Canada's immigration system has long been a source of pride for Canadians and of dynamism for the economy. The government is dedicated to rebuilding the trust of Canadians in immigration by restoring balance to the system. Le gouvernement instaurera.
The government will cap the total number of temporary foreign workers and international students to less than 5% of Canada's population by 2027.
By 2027.
By doing this, the government will attract the best talent in the world to build our economy, while sending a clear message to Canadians working abroad that there is no better time to come home.
Dans toutes ses actions, le gouvernement.
In all its actions, the government will be guided by a new fiscal discipline. Spend less so Canadians can invest more.
Day-to-day government spending, the government's operating budget, has been growing by 9% every year. The government will introduce measures to bring it below 2%. Transfers to provinces, territories, or individuals will be maintained. The government will balance its operating budget over the next 3 years by cutting waste, capping the public service, ending duplication, and deploying technology to improve public sector productivity. In parallel, the government will take a series of measures to catalyze new investment, to create better jobs and higher incomes for Canadians. The scale of the government's initiative will match the challenges of our times and the ambitions of Canadians. Honourable Senators, members of the House of Commons, when my dear late mother addressed your predecessors 7 decades ago, she said that in that age and against the backdrop of international affairs, no nation could live unto itself. It is a source of great pride that in the following decades, Canada has continued to set an example to the world in her conduct and values as a force for good. À vous.
I wish to express to you and to the people of Canada my heartfelt gratitude, and that of my wife, for the warmth of the welcome which we have received.
And reminds us the true North is indeed strong and free. Members of the House of Commons, you will be asked to appropriate the funds to carry out the services and expenditures authorised by Parliament. May you honour the profound trust bestowed upon you by Canadians. And may God bless and guide you in all your duties.
Okay, it looks like they're still setting up in the House of Commons. They should be starting soon. Just for the last few minutes while we're waiting for that, we can pull up or try to find the comments that I was mentioning from interim Conservative leader Andrew Scheer. Again, I don't like the tone. I think that he took the wrong tone for the first meeting. I realized that they weren't really getting into actually debating any bills or anything yet, but it was just way too friendly for the fallout of the election. Let's pull that up, Andrew. So this was from yesterday, the first day that the House of Commons has been back since the election.
Opposition.
Introducing a new House Speaker, a Liberal backbencher MP, and Andrew Scheer is the interim leader of the Conservatives. I think Polyev is coming back, so this is just temporary. But again, this is the opposition.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
First of all, Mr. Speaker, a huge congratulations to you. You've gotten the support of this House to manage this House for the next months, years. Who knows? We'll see.
I too would like to indulge myself to take this opportunity to thank the voters of Regina Capel and indeed our spouses. I'd like to thank my wife Jill for the sacrifice that she and my family make, as do all our spouses and significant others. You have just taken charge of an office that is almost as old as Parliament itself. It emerged in the Middle Ages when the Commons needed a spokesman to air its grievances to the King. A task that probably wouldn't stand up to the safe workplace guidelines that exist today. And as we heard from our Dean, until the 17th century, the Speaker's loyalty was to the Crown rather than to MPs, and they were often blamed if they delivered bad news to the monarch. 7 speakers were beheaded between 1394 and 1535, and many more were imprisoned. Managing monarchs was a delicate undertaking. One speaker, John Wenlock, during the War of the Roses, when no one could be sure who would end up as king, he tried to hedge his bets by fighting for both the York family and the Lancastrians. It didn't work out too well for him, though. He died at the Battle of Tewkesbury. But of course, he wasn't the last politician to try to be on both sides of a contentious issue. And I dare say we may find some Liberal MPs voting for things that they were very recently voting against.
I mean, again, these guys just lost an election to the weakest Liberal Party in decades. Don't they seem a little bit too happy? This is the opposition. These are the people who are supposed to be taking on Carney and basically the new version of the Trudeau government. I mean, we're under Trudeau 2.0, and these are the people who are supposed to be opposing him, and they just lost an election. Andrew Scheer, I mean, was set off a decade of Conservative losses, and they seem way too happy about it. I mean, they picked up seats, so I guess it worked out as far as them keeping their seats, but as far as Canada or actually stopping the Liberals, again, I know that they're not debating bills on the first day. This is more ceremonial. They're setting up the new speaker, but it just a bad way to start off, I think. Anyway, let's watch the second half of this. It looks like they're ready to start the House of Commons proceedings for today, day 2, back soon as well. Let's just finish up the comments from Andrew Scheer from yesterday.
But gradually, the Speaker's role became one of representing Parliament rather than the monarch. And it wasn't until the Victorian era that impartiality of the Speaker became the norm. Now, it might no longer be a requirement to stand up to kings and queens, but you may find yourself having to stand up to other offices of authority. And if such a moment presents itself, we trust you will stand with those speakers who came before you, who defended this institution on behalf of the people. As I look back over the last few parliaments, we did have some trying times. We witnessed injuries from flying elbows, F-bombs dropped, and a few appearances of one member in a state of undress. I did hear that CPAC was considering putting a warning on the daily broadcasts, may contain violence, coarse language, and nudity, but so far they haven't had to do that. The speakership itself has been tested, with, unfortunately, some speakers caught in the middle of scandals themselves. I have heard it said that it's all gone downhill since the last time a Conservative was elected Speaker, but I couldn't possibly comment on that. In all seriousness, though, Mr. Speaker, you are not the Commissioner of Parliament, you are the servant of the House, and that is an important dynamic. You are held accountable by the members, and each of us are accountable to our voters. Debates should be passionate. They should be lively. The lives of Canadians are changed by the decisions we make, and so it is normal that members get enthusiastic and fiery. When the stakes are so high, often the best thing you can do is allow the players to play a little bit. This is where the government is held to account. They have an enormous amount of power, and we, parliamentarians, must provide ruthless scrutiny on every dollar taken out of their pockets, every infringement on their liberties, and every single decision this government makes. Of course, every parliament has its own unique challenges and messy moments, but as Winston Churchill said, democracy is the worst form of government, except for all the others that have been tried. Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker, you have our support for your speakership.
we offer you our support and our best wishes for your speakership over this parliament. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so let me know if you agree about the way that Andrew Scheer opened that. Saying that the volume is a little bit low. Is it just my volume or the video too? Let me know if it's just my microphone. Again, this is kind of just a test stream. I haven't done a live stream in a while, so I know the audio volumes are not going to be exactly perfect right now. But yeah, I appreciate you just helping me work through setting up. Next stream should go a little bit smoother. Still waiting on the House of Commons proceedings to start. Should be starting soon. It looks like more people are coming in. Yeah, as far as cutting the number of international students, as somebody in the live chat is pointing out that this is for temporary foreign workers, but if they cut it from the current number of 7%, and that's only a fraction of the total immigrants that are coming in, but even if they cut it from 7 to 5%, which they said they're going to do by 2027, so not even in the next 2 years. Best case scenario, they're saying by 2027, they cut the number of temporary foreign workers down to 5%. 5% of 40 million, one of my commenters pointing out, is still 2 million people. I mean, we literally can't build houses fast enough, and their own plans for building housing is not even close to those numbers. So it really is just lip service because Canadians are angry over immigration. And again, this was just such an easy issue for the Conservatives to have addressed during the election, and they could have picked up votes. The fact that they avoided this, I think, really hurt them during the election. Morning, John Arnott. Thanks for joining. Glad to see some regular names back in the live stream chat. Appreciate everyone joining this live stream. Okay, guys, I'm going to leave this up for a few minutes just while they continue getting ready. I'm going to be back in 2 minutes. Let's take a very short break.
And in your names and on your behalf, I made the usual claim for your privileges, which His Majesty...
Okay, I'm back. It's starting now.
To you.
Again, just to set up, if you're just joining the stream, this is the second day back of the House of Commons after the federal election under the newly elected Prime Minister Mark Carney.
By Mr. McKinnon-Gatineau moves for leave to introduce a bill respecting the administration of oath of office. This motion is deemed adopted. Mr. Carney, seconded by Mr. McKinnon-Gatineau, moves that the bill be now read a first time. This motion is deemed adopted.
First reading of this bill, première lecture de ce projet de loi.
I just read this. Yeah. I read it. I have the honor to inform the House that when this House did attend His Majesty the King this day in the Senate chamber, His Majesty was pleased to make a speech to both houses of Parliament, and to prevent mistakes, I have obtained a copy which is as follows. Shall I dispense?
Yes. You read well.
Right on.
You're here.
I know, it's just say, Mr. Speaker, I understand just how exceptional that was, and I'm deep appreciation of the House. I also understand how exceptional, I think it's a reflection of how exceptional today is. And I move, Mr. Speaker, seconded by the Leader of the Government in the House of Commons, that the speech of His Majesty the King, delivered earlier today to both houses of Parliament, be taken into consideration later this day. Thank
you.
Mr. Carney, seconded by Mr. McKinnon-Gatineau, moves that the speech of His Majesty the King, delivered this day from the throne to both houses of Parliament, be taken into consideration later this day.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion?
Yes.
Carried. Carried. Le ministre des Finances et du Revenu National.
The Honourable Minister of Finance and National Revenue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and congratulations on your election.
Is taking real action to bring down costs for Canadians. Therefore, pursuant to Standing Order 83-1, I would like to table in both official languages a notice of Ways and Means motion containing measures that will deliver real change by cutting taxes for Canadians, bringing down costs and putting more money in the pocket of Canadians, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Standing Order 83-2, I ask that the order of the day be designated for consideration of this Ways and Means motion, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
I'm going to check if the audio is working okay. Thank you, John Arnett, for the $5.
To Standing Order 15-3.
I appreciate that. Let me know if you can hear the video.
Conflict of Interest Act for members. It is my
Not
duty
just my
to
microphone,
table
but the
list
video from the desktop that I'm playing.
All sponsored travel by members for the year 2024, as provided by the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner.
President of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, I move, seconded by the Secretary of State's Combating Crime, that the business of the supply be considered at the next sitting of the House.
Mr. Ali, seconded by Ms. Sahota, moves that the business of supply be considered at the next sitting of the House. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion?
Yes.
Carried. Carried. Il est de mon devoir d'informer.
It is my duty to inform the House that 4 days will be designated for the business of supply ending June 23rd, 2025.
The Honourable House, Government House Leader.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and once again on my behalf, congratulations on your election. Mr. Speaker, there have been consultations between the parties, and I believe that if you'll seek it, you will find unanimous consent to adopt the following motion. That notwithstanding any standing order or usual practice of the House, until the end of the current supply period, ending June 23rd, 2025, A, Standing Orders 81.4 and 81.5 be replaced with the following. Main estimates and any supplementary estimates shall be deemed referred to a committee of the whole House immediately after they are presented in the House, provided that 1. A minister of the Crown, after consultation with the House leaders of the other parties, shall designate 4 days to consider these estimates in committee of the whole at the ordinary hour of daily adjournment on each day for a period of time not exceeding 4 hours. 2. The said committee of the whole shall convene for the sole purpose of asking questions to the government in regard to the estimates. 3. During the time provided for the consideration of estimates in committee of the whole, A. No member shall be recognized for more than 15 minutes at a time, and the member shall not speak in debate for more than 10 minutes during that period. B. The 15 minutes may be used exclusively both for debate and for posing questions to a minister of the Crown or a parliamentary secretary acting on behalf of the minister. C. When a member is recognized, he or she shall indicate how the 15 minutes is to be apportioned. D. Members speaking during the debate may indicate to the chair that they will be dividing their time with one or more other members. E. No quorum calls, dilatory motions, or requests for unanimous consent shall be received by the chair. 4. At the conclusion of the time provided for the debate, or when no member wishes to speak, whichever comes first. A. On the 4th designated day, but in any case not later than 2 sitting days before the last allotted day in the current period, the estimates shall be deemed reported back the same to the House. B. On the 4 designated days, the committee shall rise, the debate pursuant to Standing Order 38 shall not take place, and the House shall immediately adjourn to the next sitting day. And B. Standing Order 8114A be amended by replacing the words 24 hours written notice shall be given of a notice to oppose any item in the estimates, provided that for the supply period ending not later than June 23rd, 48 hours written notice shall be given of a notice to oppose any item in the estimates, with the words 24 hours written notice shall be given of a notice to oppose any item in these estimates for the supply period ending not later than June 23rd. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All those who oppose the Honourable Minister moving the motion will please say nay.
D'accord. La Chambre.
The House has heard the terms of the motion. All those who oppose the motion will please say nay.
Adopté.
Carried.
The Honourable President of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, I have the honor to submit a message from Her Excellency, the Governor-General of Canada, signed by her own hand.
Son Excellence la Gouverneure.
Her Excellency, the Governor-General, transmits to the House of Commons the main estimates concerning the funds necessary for the funding of the public federal administration for the period ending March 2026, and pursuant to Standing Order 54 of the Constitution Act 1867, recommends that these estimates to the House of Commons.
Governor-General transmits to the House of Commons the main estimates of sums required to defray expenses of the federal public administration for the fiscal year ending on March 31st, 2026, and in accordance with Section 54 of the Constitution Act 1867, recommends those estimates to the House of Commons. The Honourable President of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, I have the honor to table in both official languages the main estimates 2025-2026.
The day.
Consideration of the speech of His Majesty the King to both Houses of Parliament.
Honourable Member for Calgary Confederation.
Before I begin my remarks, I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered on the unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. Mr. Speaker, I'd also like to congratulate you on being elected by the members of the House yesterday. We have conferred upon you great responsibilities as Speaker, and though I have known you only a brief time, from that time I am confident you will serve this Parliament well. Today is a momentous day for this country and an unforgettable day for all of us in this chamber. I am personally honored to rise in this House as a newly elected Member of Parliament. I'd like to thank my family for their love and support, my wife Lori, and our children, Annalise, Ben, and Sam. I ran for office in no small part because I want them to have the opportunities Canada provided me, and then some. I also want to thank my volunteers. Without them, none of this would have been possible. Mr. Speaker, we have all just been through a vibrant election campaign just a few weeks ago. Canadians were given the chance to look at the options that the candidates for office put before them and then make their choice by casting their ballot. It's democracy at its best. The
results of this election meant that every one of us in this House has earned the respect of their constituents. I would like to congratulate each and every one of my colleagues, members of this House. In the beginning of this parliamentary session, I commit to working in collaboration with all of you on behalf of those who sent us to this place.
I am deeply honored that the people of Calgary Confederation have put their trust in me to be their representative of Parliament. As a proud Albertan and a proud Canadian, I stand here today in this chamber in genuine awe of the responsibilities that have been bestowed upon me and all of us at this important moment. This is a great nation, a nation of 10 provinces and 3 territories, all working hand in hand with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people with whom we share our history. We are a nation of regions from coast to coast, but we are one nation. It is especially important at this moment in our history that we remember this. No matter where we come from in this wonderful country called Canada, we are called upon to work together as a united people. And that, Mr. Speaker, is at the core of our government's agenda to build a better and stronger Canada. It is at the core of the speech from the throne. So let us review some of the highlights. We are at a critical point in our nation's history with regards to our place in the world and the system of global trade. We face a turning point that we cannot shy away from. The trading system is changing, and we must understand that the relationship with our trading partners is evolving. It is a turning point that requires us all to accept what needs to be done and work together to accomplish it. In the throne speech, our government faces that reality. Canadians understand that since the Second World War, our world has never been more dangerous or unstable. But amidst this instability, there is an incredible opportunity. Our government intends to lead a confident Canada into the largest transformation of our economy since the Second World War. We will stay true to our values and build new alliances to strengthen our economy. As the throne speech reminds us all, Canadians can give themselves far more than any foreign power on any continent can ever take away from us. Mr. Speaker, as Canadians, we all know of the long-standing relationship our country has with the United States. It dates back many generations. We have friends there, we have family there, I am no exception. It is a relationship of two good neighbors built on mutual respect and a desire to strengthen each other's economy and national security. This year has brought fresh perspective to that relationship one which has awoken patriotism of Canadians and sharpened our resolve to maintain our national identity. The Prime Minister...
Wait a minute, I thought that Canada had no core national identity according to the Liberals. This is a point that people have brought up regularly since the trade war started off. I just want to set up again, we'll do a brief pause and check in with the live chat. And if you're just joining us, this is the second day of Parliament under newly elected Prime Minister Mark Carney. The House Speaker, Francis Scarpaleggia, was just elected yesterday. King Charles just finished a speech where he talked about a number of issues, including immigration, which is something the Liberals have actually surprisingly addressed lately, although their plan doesn't actually seem like it's going to do anything to really reverse the last 10 years of mass immigration, cut from 7% down to 5%, which, as one of my commenters just pointed out in the live chat, is still over 2 million people. So this is the second day of Parliament. They've just introduced the new House Speaker yesterday. Of course, Jagmeet Singh is not here. He came in third in his own riding, and the NDP is basically completely collapsed, now down to 7 seats. They at one point had 140 seats under Jack Layton. I think that was back in 2011. People are still saying the volume is too low. Just can you just let me know if that's my microphone volume or the video volume, because I'm playing the video in the background too. I'm going to go back and check the video. I'll check the replay of this video after. Sorry guys, there's going to be a few technical issues in this one. It's the first time in a long time I've done a live stream, so some of this is just working out different volume levels and going between windows. This will run a lot smoother next time. But yeah, just let me know if the microphone volume or the video volume is too low or both. Yeah, thanks for letting me know.
Mr. has been clear about his own resolve. He has visited the President of the United States in Washington, D.C., and as the throne speech notes, he and the President have begun to define a new economic and security relationship between our countries. That relationship will remain rooted in mutual respect and will be founded on our common, yet sovereign, interests. And as we move forward, we will work towards delivering transformational benefits to both countries. But as we do this, Mr. Speaker, our government is determined not to avert our attention away from the rest of the work ahead. Canada has much of what the world wants and needs, and so our government will be strengthening Canada's relationship with reliable trading partners throughout the world. We will work towards building a coalition of nations that believe in cooperation and are ready to engage in the free exchange of goods, services, and ideas. Canada can lead the way, and this will become even more apparent when we chair the G7 summit in my home province of Alberta next month. Mr. Speaker, I would now like to turn my attention to something closer to home. Throughout the country, many Canadians are having difficulty paying their bills. The cost of living has become unaffordable for many people. They are struggling to keep up and to get ahead of the daily pressures. Our government will act to help Canadians get ahead. We are reducing middle-class taxes as part of our economic agenda. This is a priority for us. Canadians can count on it. The tax cut will put money back into the pockets of Canadian families. It will save the average two-income family up to $840 a year. We will cut the GST for homes at or under $1 million for first-time home buyers. This will deliver savings of up to $50,000. We will also lower the GST on homes between $1 million and $1.5 million. And as we do this, Mr. Speaker, we will take concrete steps to double the rate of home building in this country using technology, skilled work, and lumber that comes from Canada itself. We will take action to ensure the housing market works better, including by cutting municipal development charges in half for all multi-unit housing. The plan is clear. The government will drive the housing supply up to bring housing costs down. The bottom line, Mr. Speaker, is our government knows Canadians need relief, and we are supplying it. We will ensure the future sustainability of programs that have already saved families thousands of dollars a year. This includes childcare and pharmacare, and it also encompasses the recent expansion of the Canadian Dental Plan, which is now available to another 8 million Canadians, saving the average family more than $800 per visit.
I'm just going to pause here again. So this is the newly elected Liberal government, and they're giving their own projections or their plan for housing, saying that they're going to double the number of homes built. Even if they achieve that, the current number of homes is around 240,000 a year. That would be still under 500,000 homes a year, and we're bringing in 1.5 million new immigrants each year. Liberals, as I mentioned a couple times, are actually bringing up the issue of immigration even more than the Conservatives, which I think is one of the reasons the Conservatives lost the last election. But even their own plan, basically the biggest cut is cutting the number of temporary foreign workers, which is only one part of that 1.5 million, from 7% down to 5% by 2027, so 2 years from now, not even immediately. And that's still going to be well over 1 million people. 5% of the population of 40 million is over 2 million people still, and by their own most ambitious possible plan that they're setting up here, are going to build 500,000 homes for 2 million people per year, which they're only going to start cutting those people in 2 years from now. I mean, the numbers just don't add up at all. And the Conservatives should have been going after this than just repeating the issue about the carbon tax. But it seems like the Conservatives didn't have or didn't want to come up with their own plan for housing or immigration, or take a strong stance on either. Right now, we just, earlier in the stream, we played the clip of Andrew Scheer, the interim Conservative leader, as we're electing the House Speaker yesterday, and I thought that he really missed an opportunity to go after the Liberals, especially following the election. I think he's just completely missed the entire mood of how most of the country is feeling about the Liberals being elected again after a decade, potentially another 4 years. They could call an early election if this is a minority government, which it looks like it is going to be. They had a couple ridings flipping back and forth for a few weeks after the election, but it looks like the Liberals will have a minority government. So we'll see if the tone changes today. We've only had Liberal MPs talk so far today, so we'll see once the Conservatives start, or if they're just going to wait until Poilievre comes back before they start pivoting, and I hope at least putting up some kind of opposition, or at least proposing something else, because yesterday was just way too friendly from the Conservative side, I think. Let's continue here.
Mr. Speaker, our government has a fundamental goal with regard to the Canadian economy. It is our core mission, and that mission is to build the strongest economy in the G7. As we move towards that goal, it is imperative to recognize that we must create one Canadian economy out of 13 economies. For far too long, we've been held up by internal barriers to trade and labor mobility, and these barriers cost us as much as $200 billion per year. The throne speech made clear our government will introduce legislation to remove all remaining federal barriers to internal trade and labor mobility by Canada Day. We are moving quickly because the time for action is now. We cannot delay. The premiers of several provinces and territories have already taken steps to remove barriers. Our government is committed to working with all the others to continue moving in this direction. As we move this way, it's important that we as Canadians recognize that this is a time not only to build, but to build big. We must now build major projects to further secure our national economy and create high-paying jobs that will last for generations. To assist in this, our government will create a new major federal projects office through which time needed to approve projects will be shortened from 5 years to 2 years, a goal that would make us among the best, if not the best, in the OECD. This will be done while upholding Canada's environmental standards and its constitutional obligation to Indigenous peoples. Mr. Speaker, removing these obstacles will put Canada in a better position to withstand any trade war we might experience. The change will create jobs and make us stronger. And as the throne speech says, it will enable us to become a superpower in both green and conventional energy. That's a message that Canadians from all regions should hear, and certainly music to Albertans' ears. Mr. Speaker, the government recognizes that Canadians have legitimate concerns about the safety of their neighbourhoods and streets. We will introduce legislation to enhance security at our borders. We will introduce new tools for our law enforcement and intelligence agencies to stop the flow of fentanyl. The criminal code will be toughened to make bail harder to get for repeat offenders convicted of crimes such as car theft, home invasions, and human trafficking. The Canada Border Services Agency will be given new powers to crack down on the stolen car trade to prevent the transport of illegal products. To further protect our communities, the government will hire 1,000 more RCMP personnel. We will take action to stem gun violence through changes to firearm licensing and the use of scanners, drones, and helicopters to stem the flow of drugs and guns across the border. Earlier, Mr.
The video just paused, so I'll check in with your comments again.
Locks our energy. Repeal the oil and gas production cap that will kill 54,000 jobs and cut $20 billion from the Canadian economy, much of them in my own riding. The energy minister failed to do it, so here's the chance for the Prime Minister to unequivocally commit to undoing the Liberal anti-energy laws. Will the Prime Minister repeal the No New Pipelines law, repeal the oil tanker ban, and repeal the oil and gas production cap so Canada can build energy infrastructure and get our resources to market?
I missed the first part of that, but this is the first Conservative MP.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Confederation.
Yes or no? Well, Mr. Speaker, I was with the Minister of Energy when he made that speech, and I think the vibe in the room was very different. What you ended up hearing was a very positive response from people who were looking forward to turning a page and having more productive conversations, something I would encourage all members to take to heart. Now, it's not surprising he got a positive response, given that Liberals got the highest percent of vote in Calgary than they'd had in generations since 1968. This is a new government that will bring new balances to our energy and environment conversations. And those are needed because I'll remind the members opposite that pipelines were going down to failure long before any of the bills that they listed as possible reasons for those. In fact, Northern Gateway didn't manage to pass court challenges because the environmental reviews, the Indigenous consultations were deemed too insufficient by the courts, a problem that this side of the House has cleaned up.
The Honourable Member for Gaspésie, les Îles de la Madeleine. Restez gauche. Mr. Speaker, first, allow me to thank warmly the people of Gaspésie and the Magdalen Islands for putting their trust in me. I will endeavor at every occasion to be worthy of their confidence. And the throne speech doesn't leave any space for the interests of our regions. It's really focused on the importance of protecting our economy from Donald Trump. But yet, the throne speech doesn't talk about the forest industry in Quebec and its needs in terms of the softwood lumber disputes. It doesn't talk about aluminum, even though there are sectors that are struck by these U.S. tariffs. It doesn't talk about fisheries. It's such a
precious and fragile industry whose exports depend too much on the U.S. So this text was read by a British monarch that could have been written in London because it was so disconnected from the needs of Quebecers or the needs of the Quebec regions in this document.
For Calgary Confederation.
Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the honourable member for his question.
of regions, I know this well as an Albertan, but a speech of this nature is about the nation as a whole, and there is much detail to come afterwards and much discussion to have in the days to come.
The honourable member for Winnipeg North.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians elected.
The honourable member. This is the first test, I guess. Is that? So, the honourable member for. Yeah, the honourable member for Winnipeg North.
Mr. Speaker, I miss my Conservative friends too, especially Pierre Poilievre. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, Canadians elected. Canadians. I'm going to start from the beginning there, Mr. Speaker. Canadians elected a new government here in Canada, Mr. Speaker. A government that understands the benefits of building a strong economy, a strong nation for all Canadians, Mr. Speaker. We have seen that clearly demonstrated in the throne speech that was delivered by the King of Canada earlier today. My question to my friend and colleague from Alberta, would he not agree that one of the most impressive initiatives that the Prime Minister had taken day one was to give Canadians a tax break that is going to save and cost millions of hundreds of millions of dollars that is going to be going into the pockets of Canadians in every region of our country?
Honourable member for Calgary Confederation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wholeheartedly agree with my colleague. I think that this is just another example of how this is a new government bringing a new agenda, and Canadians will be well served by that government in the weeks, months, and hopefully years to come.
About how great the new government is. I mean, the Conservative, they had one Conservative MP speak up.
The honourable member for Long Range Mountains.
Pipeline project. That was it.
Mr. Speaker, it's an honor to rise as the first Conservative woman to ever serve the province of Newfoundland and Labrador in the House of Commons. Mr. Speaker, I was born and raised, laid roots, and built a career in Newfoundland and Labrador. But unfortunately for young people today, building a life in Newfoundland and Labrador is becoming a distant dream. Too many are forced to pack their bags and head elsewhere across Canada. The blame is with the federal government for implementing policies that block investment and kill major projects that create jobs young people could build a life on. I've combed over this speech, and I can't seem to find any firm commitment for young Newfoundlanders that want to build their lives and stay in the province. Will the Prime Minister commit to reversing anti-energy liberal laws, excessive red tape, regulation, and high taxes that are crushing the dreams of young people in Newfoundland and Labrador?
The honourable member for Calgary Confederation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to congratulate the honourable member on her election.
I think she kind of missed the mark
From coast to coast to coast, this throne speech speaks about economic opportunity. It talks about the ways that we are going to build things, the ways that we are going to grow things, and most importantly, the way we're going to do it quickly, because time is not our friend. There is a commitment within the throne speech to have a major projects office and to move the approval of projects from 5 years to 2 years. As I mentioned in my remarks, that would make us among, if not the best in the OECD. So I'm optimistic for the future. I hope that you will, I hope the honourable member across the way will keep an open mind
doubling the number
as
of
we
houses built, still
implement this
to
agenda.
under
Thank you.
500,000 a year.
Member for Vancouver East. There's limited time, but the member has the floor.
Already a housing
Well,
crisis.
thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and congratulations to my colleague for his election. New Democrats will be here to hold the government to account, of course, and collaborate where it is possible. Notwithstanding that we don't have official party status. My question to the member is this. On the issue around housing, and we all heard it on the ground during the election campaign, there is nothing in the throne speech that talks about renters. There's nothing in the throne speech that talks about building social housing and co-op housing, and recognizing that it was the Liberals that canceled the National Affordable Housing Program. And in the throne speech, there is no measures to address housing profiteering. Is it because the Minister of Housing is saying affordability is not an issue faced by Canadians? So my question to the member is this. What is he going to do to ensure social housing and co-op?
Okay.
This is the tone
a very brief answer by the member for Calgary Confederation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very briefly, this is a throne speech that is heavy on housing. It takes a land, sea, and air approach to housing that reduces the costs of developing, reduces the costs of building, and increases supply through the largest action since World War II.
President of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to the Standing Order 32-2, I have the honor to table, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, a document in both official languages entitled Report on Federal Tax Expenditures 2025.
The honourable member for Saanich Gulf Islands on a point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you may have been aware, Mr. Speaker, although it is some distance from your chair, that as the honourable member from Vancouver East, there has been a certain amount, unfortunately, more heckling than one would want on a day when we receive the speech from the throne. But I'm being heckled as I make this point, Mr. Speaker. In your election, there were many commitments made in this place from many quarters that we wanted Parliament to show better decorum. On the part of my ability to understand and hear the member right next to me, the heckling was rather too loud. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, please, the heckling. Thanks for chiming in, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Of course, it's noted, and of course I remind all members that we have to be able to hear what is being said. So we'll go now. Reprise du débat.
Resuming debate, the honourable member for Thérèse de Blainville.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, colleagues, before I begin, I'd like to recognize that we're here on the unceded territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation. And Mr. Speaker and dear colleagues, I'm humbled and enthusiastic to take the floor as a member of Parliament for Thérèse de Blainville. It's an honor for me to be here today on behalf of my constituents in Thérèse de Blainville to deliver this speech. I appreciate how fortunate I am, as my friends and family often hear me say. Mr. Speaker, I congratulate you on your role, as well as all members of this House. I look forward to working with you all. First and foremost, I'd like to express my gratitude for the trust that my constituents have placed in me. Thank you for your questions, your commitment, and all your suggestions. I'd like to extend my warmest thanks to my husband Claude, my family, and the volunteers who supported me all through this campaign. In my previous role as Canada's ambassador to the OECD, I was deeply concerned about the place of democracy in the world. I'm pleased to see that our Canadian democracy is strong and healthy. Respect was evident in all our conversations. It's with a deep sense of responsibility that I speak today in this place, which embodies our country's democratic values. As mentioned in the throne speech, major changes are underway for all Canadians. These are fundamental changes that offer incredible opportunities for our country. Opportunities for renewal, for growth, but above all, for Canada to undertake the most significant transformation of its economy since World War II. We're experiencing these changes together in our families, our communities, and our workplaces. They present challenges, to be sure, but they also represent a momentum towards a better future. A Canada that remains true to its values is a Canada that can build new alliances and a new economy that works for all Canadians. Canada is ready to build a coalition with countries that share these values and believe in international cooperation, and we will demonstrate this in a few weeks in June when Canada chairs the G7 summit. Until recently, I was ambassador and represented Canada at the OECD, IEA, ITF, NEA, and PMIA. And I can assure you that these member countries are ready for this partnership with Canada. This commitment on the world stage is not at odds with our national interests. On the contrary, it's a natural extension of them. We believe that to be strong at home, we must also be active, respected, and engaged internationally. We can't talk about change and opportunity without talking about what is happening with our neighbor, the United States. The Prime Minister and the U.S. President have begun to define a new economic and security relationship between our two countries based on mutual respect and the common interests of our two sovereign nations. This renewed partnership between our neighboring countries is an opportunity to write a new chapter of cooperation, mutual growth, and shared prosperity. At the same time, our government is strengthening its relationships with our trading partners and allies. We already have 50 free trade agreements, and we can benefit from those more than ever before. Because today, our economic future depends on our ability to strengthen our ties so they're sustainable and strategic throughout the world. My constituents have strongly expressed their belief that the economy is only truly strong when it serves everyone, and that's what all Canadians want. That's why we're cutting taxes for the middle class, saving dual-income families up to $840 a year. We will also reduce the GST on homes priced at $1 million or less for first-time homebuyers, saving them up to $50,000. Canadians want concrete results. These measures are not abstract. They translate directly into people's lives, greater accessibility and security for Canadian families. On top of all that, we will also ensure the sustainability of programs that already save Canadians thousands of dollars a year, whether it's childcare, drug coverage, and just to name a few. Our constituents have told us time and time again when we go door to door that our social programs must be maintained because they have a real impact on the daily lives of Canadians. These programs allow many people to access essential services, and we will never jeopardize that. As you know, we made it very clear during this recent campaign, our government's main goal is to build the strongest economy in the G7. That starts with creating a single Canadian economy. This is an ambitious and essential project. It's time to break down silos, to overcome internal barriers, and build a true economic union between our provinces and territories. The OECD's economic reports have been recommending this for years. We now feel a sense of urgency to act. Internal barriers to our trade and labor mobility cost Canada up to $200 billion every year. That's unacceptable. And that's why we will introduce legislation to remove all federal barriers to internal trade and to labor mobility by Canada Day. The premiers of several provinces and territories have already taken important steps to remove barriers to domestic trade, and we will build on this progress to create a strong economy for the whole country. Working with the premiers is key to success, and everyone here must contribute to this cooperation to achieve our full economic potential. But that's not all. It'll take much more to realize our full potential and build a strong Canada. And that can't be done without a deep commitment to cooperation. This requires close cooperation with the provinces, territories, and Indigenous peoples to deliver projects of national importance. Throughout my career, I have worked with the business community, labor unions, civil society, and diplomats and governments around the world. Our Canadian pride must now, more than ever, strengthen our international ties to create well-paying jobs for Canadians. We know that these projects require leadership, but also listening, flexibility, and respect for each other's expertise. Most importantly, this Canadian project is meaningful to Canadians. Given the scale of the opportunities before us, speed is of the essence. The new Federal Major Projects Office will reduce the time needed to approve a project from 5 years down to 2, while respecting Canada's world-class environmental standards and its constitutional obligations to Indigenous peoples. In this way, we will balance efficiency and accountability. Our government will also enter into cooperation agreements with all interested provinces and territories within 6 months to implement the one project, one review principle. Removing these barriers to the Canadian economy will mark the beginning of a new era of growth in Canada, helping us not only overcome trade wars, but emerge stronger as a sovereign nation. It's this resilience, this ability to turn adversity into opportunity that has always characterized our country. During the campaign, my constituents told me that housing was a top priority for them, and it's the same for all Canadians. Their message is very clear. Major changes are needed, and concrete action must be taken, and quickly. That's why our government will take a series of steps to help double the rate of home construction while creating an entirely new housing industry using Canadian technology, skilled Canadian workers, and Canadian lumber, and being ready to innovate to meet our climate challenges.
They're going to fix housing back in 2015.
We have the resources,
and
we
again, she's
have
repeating
the
the point
know-how,
about doubling
we
the
have
number
the
of
will.
homes to under
It's time to take
500,000 built
action.
a year. Even if that goes through, there's still 1.5 million or more new immigrants coming in.
Our government will also put in place measures to deliver affordable housing by creating the Homes Canada program, which will accelerate the development of new affordable housing, invest in the growth of prefabricated and modular homes, and provide significant funding to affordable home builders. Our constituents want concrete action like this, clear measures. We will innovate together with all stakeholders and regions and address the challenges ahead. We also heard a lot about security in recent months, the security of our country, especially at our borders. And to ensure that security, our government will introduce legislation to improve Canada's border security. A strong country must be able to protect its borders, its citizens, and its territorial integrity. New tools to stop the flow of fentanyl and its precursors will also be introduced. The Canada Border Services Agency will be given new powers to examine goods destined for export to prevent the transport of illegal and stolen goods, including cars, which we all know is now a major problem. We won't stop there. Our government will protect our sovereignty as Canadians by rebuilding, rearming, and reinvesting in the Canadian Armed Forces. And we will strengthen our presence in the north. We will also participate in the Rearm Europe plan, thereby contributing to transatlantic security. Security also means solidarity. Ensuring the security of our borders is one thing, but the security of our communities mustn't be neglected. Because our communities are where we live, where our loved ones live, our children and our parents. We need to make sure that there are safe places for everyone at all times. That's why we will hire 1,000 more RCMP officers and amend gun licenses. We will take car theft and home invasions very seriously, and we will toughen up the criminal code to make bail more difficult for repeat offenders charged with these crimes, as well as for human and drug trafficking. The safety of our communities is non-negotiable. Now I turn to something that's deeply rooted in me, something that's essential to building a strong Canada. I've said this to my constituents in Thérèse de Blainville. I am a proud Quebecer, proud Francophone, and at the same time, proud Canadian. The French language and Quebec culture are two things that go to the heart of Canadian identity. They define the country that Canadians and I love so much. I've promoted this all throughout my career in Canada and internationally. We must demonstrate this leadership every day. Protéger notre langue. Protecting our language, our traditions, and our heritage is essential. It's also an incredible asset in our international trade, and I know what I'm talking about. Canada is a country where official languages and Indigenous languages are respected and celebrated. The government is committed to protecting the institutions that promote these cultures and identities around the world, like CBC Radio-Canada, and programs that make a real difference, like the Aboriginal Borrowing Guarantee Program, which will increase from $5 to $10 billion. Our government will be a reliable partner for Indigenous peoples, honoring its fundamental commitment to advancing reconciliation. We will carry this commitment forward with conviction. We are also committed to protecting those who provide us with access to fresh, healthy, high-quality food. Farmers, by protecting supply management, something that is very important. Our food sovereignty is an essential component of our national sovereignty. Canada's immigration system has also long been a source of pride for Canadians. And that's why we're committed to restoring Canadians' confidence in this system by restoring its balance.
Well, why do they have to restore it?
This is a responsibility that requires
they have caused the problem for
hard
the
work
last decade.
and
It's
humanity.
the same government.
To do this, our government will impose a cap on the number of temporary foreign workers and international students. We will attract the best talent from around the world to build the Canadian economy. In everything it does, the government will be guided by a new financial discipline.
Capping it at
Spend
5%
less
of the population
so Canadians
is still
can
2
invest
million
more.
people a year, which they're not going to do until 2027.
This, too, is what the people of Thérèse de Blainville have demanded. We believe every public dollar must be spent wisely in the collective interest. Our new government will work hard to achieve this.
After she talks about the billions
Our government
more
will balance its operating budget over the next 3 years by reducing waste, capping the public service, ending duplication, and deploying technology to improve public sector productivity. At the same time, we will take a series of steps to catalyze new investment, create better jobs, and higher incomes for Canadians. The scale of this government initiative will match the challenges we face and the ambition of Canadians. Colleagues, Let me close by saying that we, as Canadians, are strong and free. We will do everything we can during this term entrusted to us to make this great country even stronger. And doing so is not just about policies or programs, it's about a commitment to moving our country forward despite the challenges ahead. Canada is full of hope and opportunity, and by working together with the provinces, territories, Indigenous peoples, and all stakeholders, we can build a strong future for everyone. A future where our shared values as Canadians will continue to be prioritized. Canada has all kinds of hope and opportunity, and by working together with all our partners and stakeholders, we will build a stronger future for everyone. A future where our shared values as Canadians will continue to be top priority. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you today. The Honourable Member for Montmorency-Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to begin by thanking the people of Montmorency-Charlevoix for placing their trust in the Conservative Party and myself for this 45th Parliament. So thank you to them. I will take on this challenge with respect and deep commitment. The throne speech is some 30 pages long. It's supposed to set out the government's priorities, and there's only one mention of the French language and Quebec culture. Once, nothing more. There was not much commitment there. And at the same time, French is in decline here in Quebec and all across the country. This can be seen in workplaces, and Francophone workers in the public sector have told us how hard it is for them to be able to speak French at work. But the throne speech announces no concrete steps to protect French in Canada. Mr. Speaker, in my riding, in Château-Richer, the first French settlement was created in what has become the country that we know today. We believe in the French language. We've been supporting it for a long time and promoting it and protecting it. What guarantee has the Prime Minister got from Donald Trump?
Screen's frozen again. We're going to reset this. Again, it's annoying that the Conservatives are talking about taking on Donald Trump instead of taking on the Liberals or Mark Carney or the people that are actually
all across
supposed
Canada.
to be
The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity as I rise for the first time in the House to thank the people of Repentigny for their trust. I will defend without compromise their interests and the interests of Quebec. The throne speech confirms that Ottawa wants to replace its environmental evaluation process with an Office for Accelerating Oil and Gas Projects. It confirms the government's intention to make Canada a conventional energy superpower. That means fossil fuels. They're talking about respecting environmental standards in Canada, but they haven't said that they'll respect Quebec's environmental standards, particularly when it comes to development of its territory. The throne speech seems to be paving the way towards the imposition of pipelines in Quebec. However, it's not time to build new pipelines. It's not us that are saying it, it's the new Minister of Canadian Identity who said it on May 14th. And it's not the Bloc Québécois that's, saying that getting rid of the carbon tax or the carbon system was a bad idea. No, that's not us who are saying that. It's the OECD who has said that. And the member was Canada's ambassador to the OECD before getting into politics. The OECD is against the cancelling of the carbon price. Does the member agree with her colleague, the minister, and with the OECD, who have said that it's not time for new pipelines, nor time to weaken the price on carbon?
L'honorable député.
The honourable member for Thérèse de Blainville. Well, I would say to the honourable member, my colleague, yes, I was at the OECD, and I also worked at the International Energy Organization, and I would say that the Secretary General of the agency has said many times at the international level that Canada has everything that it needs to succeed by bringing all of its energy sources together, and Canada has everything it needs for the energy transition. I've heard that many times, and I would say that the Prime Minister has very clearly indicated that our government wants to build and make Canada an energy superpower with conventional energy as well as with clean energy. And we will continue to reduce our emissions. So energy is a wealth that we have in Canada. The honourable member for Ottawa-Vanier. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and congratulations on your election. And Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the people of Ottawa-Vanier-Gloucester for their confidence, and I will work very hard for them over the next few years. Mr. Speaker, in recent weeks, Canadians from across the country and in my riding of Ottawa-Vanier-Gloucester have sent a clear message that we need to be united, sovereign, and responsible. We need to protect and create new jobs, new careers, so that Canada can be more competitive and create more innovation. We need to create one single economy and not 13 economies to build the strongest economy in the G7. Mr. Speaker, can the member for Thérèse de Blainville please elaborate on how we are going to act to promote a better quality of life for all Canadians? The honourable member for Thérèse de Blainville. Thank you for that question. I would simply say that to develop our economy, we have an economic framework that will improve quality of living in Canada. It will include housing, it includes transit, it includes the environment, and we will collectively work together to make sure that this economy works for all regions of Canada.
Member for Windsor-Tecumseh Lakeshore.
Mr. Speaker, I am honored to stand in this House on behalf of the people of Windsor-Tecumseh Lakeshore. Windsor workers are rightfully worried. They are worried about threats towards their jobs from the United States. They are worried about their shift being cut. They are worried about paying their mortgages and putting food on the table. In Windsor, you can literally see the car manufacturers and industries across the river in Detroit, Michigan. American workers at these plants don't need to worry about a costly, job-killing carbon tax. They know that their jobs are more secure without an industrial carbon tax. That's not the case this side of the border. The Liberal government is making our industry and our manufacturers less competitive, and by keeping in place the costly industrial carbon tax. We need to work together and do everything we can to protect our jobs. By keeping the industrial carbon tax on steel, aluminum, and other manufacturing, the government is forcing our workers to fight with one elbow tied behind their back. So, will the government unshackle our workers and cancel the whole carbon tax on everything for everyone?
This is the best that the Conservatives have to offer in this whole carbon tax. Again, mostly directed at the United States. They're not even taking on the Liberals or attempting to,
I would like to thank
or pointing out
that
the
honourable
over
colleague.
decade of failure under Trudeau and
the
Carney,
honourable colleague
which is essentially
summed
the same
up
government.
the concerns of many citizens
I've
and
heard
businesses.
stronger
And I would
opposition
also like
from
to
the
say that in the
NDP, who
current
has 7
context,
seats, who
it's
literally
not
can't do
necessarily
anything
a boxing
that
match or a
any
hockey
Conservative
game.
MP
We
after they
are
just lost what should have
doing
been one of the
Tai
easiest
Chi. We're
elections to win.
taking
They've learned nothing.
when it comes to energy. So what I would say is that yes, the economy will be our priority. And in terms of the carbon price for industry, it generates investment of several $billion and creates tens of thousands of jobs across Canada. It is 3 times more effective than the consumer carbon tax. Excuse me, I'm sorry. We will stop the clock here. There's a little bit too much noise from this side. You have another 15 seconds. So I will close by saying that we need to take the right steps to promote economic growth and protect the environment.
Resuming debate, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you very much.
Let's see if Andrew Scheer has anything actually critical to say of the Liberals today, or if it's going to be just like yesterday.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And as you know, it is the convention here that we aren't terribly critical of His Majesty's speech while he's still in the national capital. There will be lots to say tomorrow about the deficiencies and the lack of details, the lack of actually a plan to implement anything that was in there. But I would be remiss if I didn't point out just a few things. I'll elaborate more tomorrow. Yes. So I expect you all to be here for that. It's not good enough to say what you intend to do. You have to provide some kind of a roadmap to get there. And remember, the Prime Minister has set the bar extremely high. He won't be able to get the benefit of the doubt that Justin Trudeau had when he first started in this place after his background. He has promised Canadians that he will resolve the challenges facing Canadians. And yet in that, no. You won't like what comes next. You won't like what comes next. And yet in these early days, we already see that he can't get results. So he's learning very quickly how to be a liberal politician. Promise a lot and deliver little. That is the track record of this government. The only parts that were even remotely decent in the throne speech, of course, were plagiarized from conservative policies that we've been fighting for and they've been fighting against for a decade. But we know that the Prime Minister is no stranger to copying work from others and passing them off as his own. But, Mr. Speaker, given that we're early on in this Parliament and we'll have lots more to say tomorrow, I move, seconded by the member for Battle River Crowfoot, that the debate be now adjourned.
Scheer, seconded by Mr. Couric, moves that the debate be now adjourned. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Yes. Carried. Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I would just like to take a brief moment to say, for the benefit of all honourable members, that tomorrow the House will have the first day of debate for the address in reply to the speech from the throne. Our plan is to have all 6 days of the address debate consecutively, with the final vote taking place next Wednesday. And in closing, Mr. Speaker, I move, seconded by the member for Kingston and the Islands, that the House do now adjourn.
Okay, that's it for this stream. Thanks for joining, everyone. This should be a little bit smoother next time. I know there was a lot of dead air and some volume adjustments that needed to be done. I'm going to go back and watch the stream and just check all that out. And I plan on streaming tomorrow, where, as they just mentioned, they should be debating the throne speech, the speech from King Charles. They'll actually have more debate, a proper debate, I hope, on that tomorrow. I think that's what people are hoping for. So again, thanks for joining, and I should be starting around the same time tomorrow. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great day.